loves. I'm Shawn Coleman of Touchpoints, Cuddles and Community, and today I have 5 reasons why introverts like cuddle events, or cuddle parties, or cuddle up events, or whatever. You get the picture. Anyway, group cuddles are pretty great, and I could have easily named neurodiverse folks or socially awkward folks as well, or folks who are just really easily overwhelmed in a lot of big social environments. But I chose to title this for the introverts, and you are still very much welcome to check this out and to see if some of this stuff calls to you, and if this list does in fact call to you, then maybe it's time for you to check out a cuddle event. They tend to be really cozy and sweet and warm, and relatively accessible for us socially awkward and neurodiverse folks, and also for you introverts as well. And so I just wanted to make sure I gave a shout out to y'all. Okay, let's get started. And I have a list here, so you may see me looking down for just a tiny little bit from time to time, but I'll mostly be right here with you. Okay, cool. So number 1, it's a relatively small group of people. So they mostly happen in people's living rooms, and so for that reason, it's not uncommon for the event to be 8 or 9 people. A dozen of people is really common. Having an event that's 24 or more people is relatively uncommon. It does happen, but that's considered a large event. So just to give you an idea, so definitely a much smaller group of people than if you were to go out to a club, or most of the time, even if you were going to a friend's party or something like that. A lot of times it's going to be a smaller group of people. So hopefully that feels less overwhelming for you. All right. Big talk is preferred. I know a lot of my introverted friends really hate having to grin and bear it as they listen to a bunch of small talk and things like that. And I also feel the same way. Not a big fan. And so it's great to be in an environment where people really love talking about themselves and going deep in a significant way and asking you about you as well, So I tend to hear a lot more conversations about things like personal growth, about boundaries and things like that than I ever do about the weather or the Cubs or whatever local sports team. And it's great. I really do appreciate that. I appreciate having these deeper conversations. That's number 2. But number 3, along the same line, is that talking very little is also an option. There are quite a few people who come and they introduce themselves, they sit for the agreements, and then they go and find themselves a nice little corner and snuggle up. Either snuggling up with a new friend, or snuggling up with a stuffed animal or a pillow, but they just find a comfy place somewhere and silently just hang out for the duration of the event. And that's perfectly acceptable and common. Some people even fall asleep, totally allowed. You don't have to talk a lot. I've even had people straight up say, I'm not feeling particularly verbal today, and chosen to sit out during some of the activities and exercises. Also, completely acceptable option for you as well. All right. Speaking of that, all of the activities are completely optional. So, during that time when we get the opportunity to practice saying no, and to practice, receiving that no, to practice giving hugs and things like that, you can choose to sit that out if you need to for any reason, or if you're simply just not feeling it that night. All right. Number 4, I have to remember how to count. Number 4, books, knitting, journaling, things like that, and lots of other solo activities are encouraged. Come take care of yourself, enjoy the space. You can choose to lean up next to someone and, read your book, or perhaps put your feet in someone's lap, with consent, of course, and then knit, things like that are very common and very much encouraged and enjoyed during these events. Totally cool. You also could bring a book and occasionally just pretend to read it as you check out the space, as you feel into what's going on in your body, as you think about what you might enjoy in this environment. All perfectly acceptable things, friends. Take care of yourself. I promise you, that is what I want. And I'm in charge. So, hey, there you go. That also tends to be true for other cuddle event facilitators as well. We tend to be really nice, compassionate people who want you to honor your yes and your no from moment to moment. It's a big part of what we do, and living in integrity kind of requires it. Okay. Number 5, and this is the last one, consent is always required. So that means that you don't have to worry too much about like some random person just like leaning up against you and snuggling up to you, and then you like not knowing what to say or how to handle that situation. You know, that is against the rules. So hopefully you don't have to deal with that at all. In general, people tend to follow the rules, so that's a good thing. On the off chance that someone does do that without asking, then we do give you some examples of things that you can say in those awkward situations. Some phrases that you can have kind of in your back pocket just in case someone does come up and start trying to cuddle with you without permission. Or if you choose to say yes to someone cuddling up to you and connecting with you and you change your mind, that's totally acceptable and allowed, encouraged in fact. We have a list of different phrases that you could say as well. You know, we'll kind of go through that together and put together that little list. You can find one that just really calls to you, and then you'll have it handy when you need it. And that way you don't have to overthink it too much, you don't have to worry too much, and you absolutely can know that this is an environment where people will encourage you to say your yes, where people will encourage you to honor your no, and where people will understand that you need to take care of yourself. And so you can know that in general, you're going to get like a quick apology and a withdrawal from that, you know, that people are going to be very supportive.